welcome to Charm Chats with Kendra
and Kat. Yay! We are up to episode 211.
Yay!
Yeah. This one is Reckless Abandon. Yeah.
Why are you giving me that look?
I don't know. I wasn't giving you a look, it was just giving a look.
Yes, but I'm the only one in the room. Except for Blue, and he's under a blanket.
Yeah, well.
Which, granted, doesn't usually stop you from giving him looks, but...
So true. So
but in
true.
this case, it was me you were giving the look to.
Well, like I said, I was just kind of giving a look more to the episode itself than to you.
That's fair.
Yeah, because the term reckless abandon means having or showing no regard for danger or consequences. This episode is named perfectly with that definition. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It aired on January 27th, 2000. Wee. So, we are giving small disclaimers today in that there might be sump pump noises, there might be dogs, there might be other stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because, there might be some small sounds that I just don't have the energy to edit out anymore.
That's fair.
Yeah. We've been getting much more concise with our recording, and therefore I don't have to edit nearly as much, which is great. So I've been trying to not drive myself crazy with editing.
That's good.
Yeah, because my mental health means everything.
Yeah, it's the next most important thing after, breathing.
Yes. Being alive is the most important thing, and then my mental health is like a very, very close second.
Followed extremely closely by physical health, meaning eat.
Yes.
And drink.
Yes. Sustain yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Physicians
slap a fermata on that bitch. That's music theory humor for those of you who don't get it.
Yes. Anyway, we're going to start right into it. We start immediately on an exterior shot of the manor. Inside, we see Piper putting baby things into a white wicker basket when Prue comes in wondering where her slides are, which is very funny. I didn't look up slides, but I probably should have.
Why would you look up slides?
Because a lot of people don't know what they are anymore.
That's fair.
Yeah. But I'll be honest, didn't look them up because I knew what they were. So I didn't really care.
These are the slides that people are talking about when they say slideshow.
Yes.
Except analog.
Yeah, they were little pictures on little cards that you had to have a slide projector to actually
operate.
Yeah, look at them from. Anyway, Piper is in a white shirt with a purple sweater, gray pants, and a small necklace. Her hair is mostly down, and she has one braid coming from either side of her head to meet in the middle at the back. It was kind of cute. Mm-hmm. Prue is wearing an ankle-length skirt that starts with a black band at the waist, then goes to a dark brown band, and then to a lighter brown, and then to an orangish tan at the bottom. She has paired that with a gauzy white peasant top that's a bit cropped, showing her stomach. It has a lace detail, and it's kind of see-through.
So, very work appropriate.
She also has on a choker necklace that looks like it's made of feathers, and her hair is down and wavy, and she's wearing brown cowboy boots.
Yeah, she's really going for some kind of aesthetic lately.
Yeah.
I don't know what wardrobe is doing with her character lately.
Yeah. This was an interesting outfit.
Yeah.
To say the least.
I gotta say, Prue's outfits only get more interesting from here on out.
Yeah. I'm really glad that we started telling everyone what they wear because,
we move from late 90s kind of nonsense into
2000s kind of nonsense.
Yeah, and it's a good tonal shift.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. And we get into mid 2000s kind of nonsense.
Yeah. It's really, really funny as I've been watching this season and looking for things and to put up on the Tumblr page and stuff like that. It's really funny to me how much of everything after this season I don't remember.
Yeah.
There's stuff in this season that I don't remember.
Yeah, because you usually just watch the first season.
Yeah, I would rewatch the first season whenever, because I like the first season the best. Well, yeah. But, I like specific episodes from the first season the best.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, So Piper tells Prue that her slides are by the TV, and so she heads over to grab them. And we learned that her boss is sending 2 employees with the best presentation to New York for a conference, all expenses paid, so she and Jack are hoping that he picks them.
And now we have the stakes for the episode.
Indeed. Piper asks if she's going to sleep with Jack, but Prue says that it's just a business trip.
And they gonna get some business on.
I was gonna say, did anyone tell that to Jack? Oh, wait.
Jack knows how to mix business with pleasure. That's Prue's hang-up.
Yeah, well. Anyway. Prue then inquires about the present that Piper is working on, which is apparently for Lisa Krieger's baby shower.
Lisa Krieger, who we have never heard about before and will never hear about again.
Yep, as per usual with this show. Both Prue and Phoebe have apparently forgotten about said baby shower, but Piper is making the gift from all of them anyway, because that's
She's
the
the
kind of person
responsible
she
one.
is. Yeah. Apparently, Piper can knit.
What can't Piper do? Oh, I don't know. Openly talk about her feelings about this next sequence.
Yeah. So she knitted a baby blanket and supposedly with the leftover yarn made a cute little bear to match, though the blue of the bear is darker than any blue that I saw in that blanket.
Also, the bear was crocheted.
Well.
So she can crochet too.
But yeah, because the bear was a dark blue and the baby blanket was like pastel colors.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Prue kind of takes the bear and coos over it and
You're
says it's adorable. And
Yeah.
jokes about Piper and Dan having kids, which naturally makes Piper go on the defensive and throw up all them shields.
Yeah.
Apparently, Dan's got their relationship on the fast track, and she doesn't.
Yeah. So, Prue, of course, doesn't understand because she thinks that Dan is a great guy and wonders about Piper's love for him. Like, you think you're in love with them, right?
Yeah, and Piper's like, yeah, but every time I think about committing, I think about Leo.
Yeah, because she remembers going to the future and, being with Leo.
Yep.
So there is that. Prue then reminds her that Dan is here now, and that's all that matters. And Piper says that she knows that, but she isn't ready for a baby shower of her own just yet.
No, definitely not.
Not so much. So then we jump over to an exterior shot of the police station, and guess what? We hear a baby crying.
Oh my gosh, what a baby!
Yeah. And we see a policeman carrying in a baby who's dressed in blue with a little white blanket, and he's being held in the car seat. And he walks past Phoebe, who's there talking to Daryl. She is wearing black pants with a red and gold cuff at the bottom. It's vaguely Asian in motif. A white top that we can't really see very well because she's got a red overshirt on top. She's wearing a bag, messenger style, that also has a vaguely Asian motif to it. Her hair is up in what looks to be like a messy bun, and she's wearing a red beaded necklace on her head. Like, I think I've talked about that before, because she's done that once before. Yeah, same kind of thing. Daryl is in shades of gray. His tie, also gray, has some purple accents.
Wait, wasn't the last time she did that during the succubus thing?
I think so, maybe? I honestly don't remember.
Yeah, your memory sucks.
My memory really sucks. And it's just getting worse as I get older.
I'm not
getting
looking
older
forward
as
to
the
that.
shits. But see, you had a good memory to start with. I've never had that great a memory, so,
Okay.
hopefully it'll even out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So apparently, Phoebe is there trying to convince Daryl to work with her as a psychic by letting her touch evidence and see if she gets a flash off of it.
He is not so enthused by the idea, so she picks up his butter knife and pretends to have a premonition of blood and flesh, and then says, "You had sausage for breakfast."
Yeah, and he says he hates sausage.
Oh,
and then,
don't tell Andy that.
Yeah, well. And then tells the other cops who were, staring to move along. Nothing to see here.
Yeah, and then Phoebe looks and sees the baby, who's got a bunch of policemen around him with things that they're jiggling at him.
Yeah.
And she starts, ranting lightly about it. Like, who brings a baby to a police station? Look, they're scaring him by waving all this shit in front of his face.
Yeah, so we find out that this baby has been abandoned. And Phoebe decides that she's going to be the mother in this situation because, these cops are scaring this kid. And so she excuses herself from Daryl, and goes over to the baby with the officers and literally just kind of grabs the rattle that the officer's holding and sits down in front of the baby. And then Daryl comes over and is like, thanks, guys. We could take it from here, as he does.
Yeah.
And so they walk away. And so she talks softly and sweetly, and the baby stops crying, and it's very nice. And then we get a little insert shot where she notices the name Matthew embroidered on the blanket. She picks him up and is cooing over him and whatever, saying that, all babies need is love.
And then zap right into a premonition of someone taking Matthew, and then a ghost appearing and sending a zap of electricity, kind of Darth Sidious style.
Yeah, it was like electricity or like lightning or something.
Yeah.
It was vaguely zappy. Like, there's really no, like, it was just, it was a zap of like light kind of something at it.
It was very force lightning.
Yeah.
E.
So she comes out of the premonition. Daryl asks if she's okay.
And we get eyes to credits.
Yeah, like she says nothing and we just kind of go into the opening credits. So the post-credit song on the DVD is a song called Human Touch by the band Pocket Size off their album 100% Human. They're a house music duo from England featuring producer Derek Pearson and singer Liz Overs. There's not much on their wiki, but apparently after making the album 100% Human, they left their record label and changed their name to Baby Jupiter.
Okay.
Yeah. Then, at some point after that, they changed their name back to Pocket Size, but instead of being 2 words, it is now 1 word.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll link to their wiki on the website, of course, but there wasn't a whole lot to know about any of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I shall now tangent. And I say unfortunately because it's yeah, we'll get there. So the post-credits song on Netflix is I Got Sunshine by someone named Sarah Vonderhaar.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a different theme than the DVD song, but it wasn't jarring. And I looked up the video, and the song is very repetitive, but I recognized the singer. Sarah Vonderhaar might actually be best known as Sarah Vaughn, which is the name that she used when she was on season 8 of America's Next Top Model, way back in 2007.
Dude.
Yeah, and guess what? She's from Lake Zurich, Illinois.
Awesome.
Yep. So normally I would tangent about Lake Zurich because, it's a city in Illinois, but I'm just not feeling it. Like, I will leave the link to the wiki for Lake Zurich on the website because it's a nice little village. One of my friends lives there. It's great. She just had a baby. I'm very excited for her. But, yeah. Sarah, however, appeared in a movie called Dimension back in 2007, which is something that I have added to my Netflix queue because according to IMDb, the summary for the movie is as follows. God gives the owner of a small neighborhood hardware store in Chicago the task of altering his customers' lives by the dimension of 3 inches in any manner they desire.
Was this entirely just a setup for dick jokes?
I have no idea, but it really made me think, and that just blows my mind that this actually made me think about it. I was like, if I could change my life by 3 inches... I immediately was like, well, I would make myself taller because duh, I'm only 5'6". I would love to be 5'9". But then I had to think about it and I went, would I make my waist smaller? Would I make my boobs smaller? Like 3 inches is a lot when you're thinking about the things that you can change about your life.
Yeah.
In 3 inches. But it also kind of made me think of like the Star Wars thing of he completed the Kessel Run and
12 parsecs.
Yeah, and parsecs. And parsecs is a measurement of distance, not time. And everyone is like, how does that work? And it's like, it means he cheated, you dumbasses. But, whatever. The point is like...
Well, it means going in a straight line through the Kessel Run is impossible.
Yes. But it was just the thought process of changing your life in inches. You have 3 inches to change your life. How do you do that?
I don't know, but I am reading the plot summary for this movie.
It's interesting, isn't it?
There's not really any more plot summary. Like, the longer one doesn't actually give you any more information.
Nope.
God damn.
That's why I've added it to my Netflix queue.
It's on Netflix?
Yeah.
Shit.
I don't think it's on streaming. I believe I added the DVD, but
okay,
still.
we're gonna have to fucking watch that.
Yeah. I was like, well, this is a thing that I need in my life now.
Mm-hmm.
Now you understand the unfortunately I shall be tangenting.
Oh, I do remember this season of ANTM because they did the gender bending thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Anyway, so I shall be tangenting again in just a second, so let's continue. Our post-credits starts with us panning past a large hill to see the Golden Gate Bridge in the background. Then we come under the Golden Gate Bridge before getting shown a boat that has a name on the side that is Hueg Lines. And I literally had to look that word up because it is H-O with an umlaut, E-G-H. Mm-hmm. And I had to look it up. I had to get a pronunciation thing, and it's apparently pronounced Hueg. It's Norwegian. So there you go. We then get a shot of Coit Tower, the one with the birds flying by that we've had like a bunch, before we get a shot of a sailboat coming in past Alcatraz. So I've talked about Alcatraz before. I'm not going to tangent on it. Not even going to link to it. Go to episode 120, Power of Two, if you'd like to know anything about it. It's where it all is.
Mm-hmm.
Then we get an overhead shot of buildings, including the Triangle Building, and the Oakland Bay Bridge in the background. And then we have another shot of Alcatraz. This one's in the background as we're coming down the road. That was a shot that we hadn't had before. It was kind of interesting. And we end on an exterior shot of the manor. In the living room, we see Phoebe sitting on the couch, and she has taken off the red top. And we can now see that the white top underneath it has a brown strap holding it up like halter style. And it's kind of Empire line style, where it's like the cups and then a line under your boobs, you know?
Yeah.
With like triangle-shaped cups with a red stitch trim, but it's also a bit handkerchief style as it's tied by like a single string around her back, and it has beaded trim on the bottom. Describing the shirt makes it sound like a mess, but it really wasn't.
Yeah, because I'm trying to imagine it, and I'm just like, I don't remember seeing something that looked quite this disjointed, but okay.
Yeah, it sounds a mess, but it actually isn't. It didn't look bad. It was just...
Granted, nothing will be ever as disjointed as cable knit crop top sweater pocket.
Yeah. Anyway, Phoebe is talking to Piper, who's holding Matthew, and she's trying to figure out if the premonition that she saw was of the future or the past. And Piper is being weird about holding the baby. So Phoebe tells her to do the rock and walk, which she does. And then she asks Phoebe if she was sure that what she saw was a ghost. And Phoebe assures her that she knows what a ghost looks like by now. Which I thought was kind of funny. But she can't figure out why a ghost would want to hurt a baby. So then Piper wonders how she talked Daryl into letting her take the baby home. And Phoebe says that she told him about the premonition, so he gave her 24 hours before social services comes around. Piper then jokes about raising him in the ways of witchcraft and teaching him how to fight ghosts. And then he starts crying, so she immediately gives him to Phoebe. Mm-hmm. Like, she's like, the baby's crying, take him away.
Yeah.
Which is kind of how I would be.
Mm-hmm.
So Phoebe takes Matthew, and she's like cooing at him, and then she puts him back into his car seat. And can I just say that the transcript called the car seat a baby capsule? Just let that sink in for a second. Baby capsule.
It's making me think of Superman.
Yeah. So I had to look it up because I had to see if this was actually a thing, right? Because we know that the place where I get the transcripts from are not from America. Which I thought, since they spell things the UK way, I thought they were in Canada. Because they don't spell everything the UK way. But there is apparently a style of car seat called a capsule. But the term is mostly used in Australia and New Zealand.
Interesting.
Yeah. Oh, and there's apparently something in India called baby capsule that is supposed to help male infertility. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Huh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of stuff on the market that targets male infertility, is there?
Mm-mm.
It's mostly just drugs that uterus owners take.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, Piper calls Phoebe a natural, and Phoebe says that she can't wait to have a baby of her own, and then Piper quips that Dan fell in love with the wrong sister. You know, it was kind of cute.
I feel like we've had this plot point before.
Yeah, probably. So Phoebe looks at her at that comment, but Piper just kind of brushes it away, and then she picks up the bear that she made and waves it in front of Matthew's face. And we have learned Matthew does not like that sort of thing, and so he throws up on her and the bear.
Yeah.
And everything else. Phoebe then tells her that he doesn't like things being waved in his face. And we get a cute little moment where Piper takes a towel and starts wiping Phoebe. And she's like, let's do him first.
Yeah.
And so then they start to wipe the baby. It was just kind of funny. And then the front door opens and Prue walks in. She's talking about her New York trip. And...
But she's quickly shushed by her sisters. And
Yeah.
then she sees Matthew.
Yeah.
And she's like, where did he come from? And they're like, we got him at the police station.
And Prue jokes about Phoebe going to get a job, not a kid. And then she's told that the baby was abandoned.
And then Prue's like, wow, abandoned by someone who can afford an Eddie Bauer car seat and a blanket lined in silk?
Yeah. So if you don't know, I think I've talked about it before. Eddie Bauer is a clothing store. I totally had to look this up. I think I've mentioned it before, but I don't think I've tangented on it before.
I'm not recalling it.
Yeah. So it started out in 1920 as Eddie Bauer's Tennis Shop, and it was in the back of a Seattle hunting and fishing store. It specialized in building and repairing tennis rackets. The shop was only open during tennis season, and the founder, Eddie Bauer, was just 21 at the time. Fucking overachievers, man.
God damn.
Yeah. So eventually he expanded his line of merchandise to include his own handmade golf clubs and fishing tackle, and he changed the name of his little store to Eddie Bauer's Sports Shop. He would then go on, at some point in his life, to develop and patent a standardized shuttlecock called the Bauer Shuttlecock, which popularized badminton in the United States. Most people will call a shuttlecock a birdie because the word shuttlecock gives people fits of the giggles.
Yep.
Yeah. I actually played badminton my freshman year of high school
So did
at
I.
Catholic school.
Well, not at a Catholic school for me.
Right. But the Catholic school is where we had to buy Eddie Bauer sweaters to wear over our uniforms in winter. It all comes full circle.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So, of course, links to everything on the website. Did you know that the shuttlecock... I'm not going to tangent on it, but did you know that the shuttlecock, when they're made from actual bird feathers, they use only the feathers of the left side of the bird?
Yep.
Because that way it will fly uniformly? Mm-hmm. I just thought that was very interesting.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. Fascinating, that.
And also, I had the highest rate when I was on the badminton team of hitting people with birdies.
Oh, that's not good. Don't do that.
It was never intentional, and often enough, it would just end up in their hair. Like, one time, I spiked it, and it went into my teammate's bun. we were just... It was just practice, so... She wasn't, like, on my side. I wasn't that bad of a badminton player. But then, like, she couldn't find it. She's looking around on the floor, and as she's turning around, I'm just seeing, like, the back of her head, and it's got a birdie sticking out of it.
That's funny.
It was great.
It
was like that one time I caught a woman's pants while fishing on the backswing.
Interesting.
I was not good at fishing. I also caught a dead hamster.
Oh. Okay, we're just going to leave that there then.
And a tree on the way back to the car.
No, when I played badminton in high school, I didn't know that the team was a thing until they had already played, like, a game.
Yeah, you mentioned this.
Yeah, so I was technically on the team, but I didn't actually get to play in any of the tournament games.
And then
And
they
we lost every
everything.
single one. Yeah. Which is sad, because in all of the scrimmage games that we played, like, beforehand, they were counted by points, but they didn't count toward the tournament, I won every game I played. And I was really upset that they wouldn't let me play in the tournament games because I was the best fucking player they had. But, you know, whatever.
Yeah, and then didn't the teacher leave?
Yeah. She did not come back sophomore year. But, you know, everything happens for a reason. Anyway, Piper says that Matthew seems to have finally fallen asleep.
And Prue once again brings up why someone who could apparently afford such expensive baby things would abandon said baby.
Yeah. So Phoebe starts to explain that that's not why he was abandoned, and then Matthew starts making noises and looks to be wide awake. So I'm not sure why Piper thought he was asleep, but whatever. Piper says that he's like a car alarm, which is one of the best lines. She goes, any sudden vibration just sets him off, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. Which is one of the funniest things I've ever heard said about a child.
Yep.
But
that's also how I feel about very small children who can't talk.
Yeah, absolutely. Phoebe and Prue both think that Piper has baby issues, and they tell Prue about Phoebe's premonition. So Phoebe says that she's going back to the police station at lunch to use their sketch artist to help her ID the man holding Matthew in her premonition, whom she's assuming is the father of the baby. Prue, of course, thinks that's a great idea and realizes that the only way to find out why the ghost is after the baby is by finding out who the baby belongs to. You know, good logic. So Phoebe goes to leave, and reminding you that this shirt is only held up by 2 strings, one at the middle of her back and one at her neck, right?
Yeah.
So as she turns to leave, we are given a shot of her back, And we can see that the makeup department is trying very hard to cover up Alyssa's back tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
They are not doing a great job of it.
Nope.
Yeah. But I will be honest, I don't know if I noticed it, like, first time watching the episode, like, way back in 2000, but I definitely noticed it now.
Yeah. Going to semi-HD definitely helps that.
Yeah, well, because, like, she doesn't really have a tan, but all of a sudden there's just this little, like, dark splotch on her back that looks vaguely tattoo-shaped, you know?
In as much as tattoo is a shape, and not a generalized idea.
Yeah. I believe that the tattoo on her back is the one with the rosary. Yeah. Anyway. Prue says that she has to get back to work, and so she and Phoebe both grab their coats and their bags, and then Piper freaks out a little about being left alone with the baby, but Phoebe tells her to not be afraid, and Prue jokes about it being a test run. And Piper says that she remembers when Phoebe was a baby and Prue kept dropping her.
Which catches Phoebe's attention, but Prue kind of brushes past it.
Yep.
And she's trying to find what Piper's point is in her protest.
Yeah. Piper says that they need things for the baby, like diapers and bottles and stuff. So Prue's like, I'll go shopping. Phoebe says that she's heading out to see Daryl and that Piper will be fine. And she reminds Piper about the rock and walk. And then she and Prue leave. And as Phoebe closes the door, Matthew starts fussing and crying again.
Because of course he does.
Yeah. And so we're left with a shot of Piper looking a bit dejected. And it was kind of adorable.
Aww.
Yeah. So then we time jump to an exterior shot of a store called Baby Town.
Which looks like a knockoff Babies R Us.
Well, it says that it sells baby and kids furniture, and we see like race car beds in the windows. So I had to look it up, right? To see if there actually is a place called Baby Town. And the first thing I found was a baby store in Gilbert, Arizona, but it's not the same thing. So after a little bit of digging, I found that this particular store is a real place in Reseda, California. That's about an hour northeast of Los Angeles, for anybody, paying attention. So I also found out that there are many, many bad reviews about this place. Apparently, they are being shady with people's orders and such.
That's lovely.
Yeah. I don't know if the store is still around because, the website for it is gone. But it was very interesting to see that people were basically like, I put in an order when I was like 6 months pregnant to get a crib, and I didn't get the crib until my kid was already like almost a year old. Things like that. Yeah. What was the other one that I read? It was something along the lines of, I wanted a baby changing table and they were back ordered. So I was like, that's fine. I'm only, 3 months along. It'll be another 6 months before my kid comes. And they didn't even put in the order for the changing table until like her due date. Yeah, it was weird. It was very weird. They were apparently very shady. I hope that they're not around anymore.
Or at least under better management.
Yeah, but if you're in Reseda, California, read up on shit before you go to Baby Town, apparently.
That's a good euphemism.
Well, yeah. Anyway, so we cut inside a store that has tons of baby stuff in it, even though the store is supposedly just a furniture place. And we see Prue pushing a cart full of said baby stuff.
And we are talking full.
Yeah, like it is overflowing.
Oh my god. How would they even use most of this? Like, how long are they expecting to be taking care of this kid? 24 hours is the answer.
Yeah. Oh, and the jacket that Prue has added to her outfit is long, like floor length and black.
Ooh, I wonder if she kept that from her days as Miss Hellfire.
Maybe. It kind of did look like it could have been from that, closet. But what I thought was interesting is this is like the only time we see her in this jacket is walking through the store. Before this, she wasn't wearing a jacket. After this, she won't be wearing a jacket. They decided to have her wear a very dark, heavy jacket covering her outfit inside the baby store. Just saying.
Maybe it's because she was in the baby store. They want to make it clear. She does not have a baby, because what mother wears a long leather jacket? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Logic.
Yeah. Anyway, so she turns down the diaper aisle, and as she stops the cart, like, things fall out of it. Because again,
how full it is.
Yeah, super duper full. So she picks up, like, a single stuffed toy that fell, and then she starts reaching up for some diapers that are on a top shelf.
And kind of jumping to get them too.
Yeah, she can't reach them, so she does, what any normal person would do. She looks around, makes sure that no one is watching, and then she uses her power for personal gain to make them come flying down toward her, as you do. Mm-hmm. Oh, fun fact, the diapers that are shown are Kirkland Signature branded diapers, which are only sold at Costco warehouses. Thought that was cute.
And then we get a nice shot of a kid with a bike helmet on riding a scooter around the store. And look who's riding behind him. It's Jack.
Yep. Jack is now wearing gray pants, a cream V-neck ribbed shirt, and a brown jacket. And as he is following this kid on the scooter, just, a la convenience, he notices Prue. Why he happened to glance down only that aisle, because it's the only time he turned his head, coming down toward that diaper aisle, he just happened to glance over and, oh look, it's Prue.
To be fair, he was there looking for her.
Not the point. Not the point at all. Anyway, she asks what he's doing there, and after a bit of joking that he's getting his ass kicked by a 5-year-old, even though the kid did not look 5, he was like 12.
Yeah, he yells after the kid for a rematch.
Yeah, it was kind of funny, I will admit. She asks how he found her, and he says that her assistant told him where she was, but not why. So she says that there was a family emergency, and that her baby cousin Matthew is staying with them for a day or two, and she needed diapers. And so she is holding some diapers and some toys, and one of the toys that she was holding looked to be the penguin toy from Sanrio called Bad Batsmaroo.
What's Sanrio?
It's the company that does Hello Kitty.
Okay.
Yep. But it was the penguin toy from Sanrio. Of all the toys from Sanrio, she picked the penguin. Jack asks when she's coming back to work, and she assures him that she'll be back after she drops off all this stuff that she's buying, and assures him that there will be no more interruptions.
Cough, cough. Higher. Cough, cough.
Yes. He says that he's worried that she had changed her mind about going to New York, and she seems to get offended that he'd think that, and then asks if he knows anything about diapers.
And he very honestly says he knows zero about babies, but he does know about romantic restaurants, hip clubs, and secret getaways in New York, which this line reading reminded me of the bit from, I'm trying to remember, I think it might be Parks and Rec. Jean-Ralphio is like, there was hot girls and like, meh, and I love that sequence, and I love that you can pretty much put it to whatever like fandom thing you want, and it could probably fit something. Mm-hmm. So I love the edits of that.
Yeah. He then reminds her,
because technically I'm homeless.
Yeah. Money now, please. Sorry. I liked her the best. Jack then reminds her of the time for the presentation, and that the plane is apparently leaving at 9 o'clock the next day.
Which they haven't actually been picked yet, so...
Well, but apparently the plane tickets are already bought.
He's putting some eggs in those baskets and counting them.
Yes, but...
He's assuming chickens will come out. But knowing the Halliwells, it could very well be dragons, so...
Yeah, but indeed.
Mm-hmm. Which are... related, but not chickens.
Yeah. Anyway.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, after he's done reprimanding her for wasting time or whatever, he hops back on the scooter and rides away to find that kid he was chasing.
Yeah. And Prue, watches him go, and then she sees a woman standing next to a crib holding a baby, and she gets, a little smile on her face, and then goes into, this seemingly a little sad look on her face. And we go to commercial break, because why not?
Yeah. Eyes to commercial.
Yeah. When we come back from commercial, we get an exterior shot of the manor, and in the kitchen, Piper is sitting on a stool watching Dan with the baby. He is wearing jeans and a white long-sleeve shirt that has no collar and 4 buttons at the neck, but I don't think any of them were buttoned.
Okay.
Just an observation.
Is that what they call a Henley?
I don't know.
No
idea. Anyway, he tells her that the move he's doing is called the jiggle, and she says that he's amazing because she tried everything but nothing worked. And we learn that he came from a big family, and then asks if she wants to try to hold the baby.
And she's like, no, I don't want to mess with a good thing over here. Yep. And she just continues watching him with Matthew.
Yep. He then says that she's staring.
She's like, yeah, I like seeing you this way. And then Prue comes in the back door carrying hella bags.
Well, actually not hella bags. She only had 3. It was only 3 bags.
Which means she left a lot of shit at the store.
Or she left a lot of stuff in the car.
The bags are pretty full, though.
Yeah, the bags are super full, but she might have left stuff in the car. Probably. Because she also comes in sans jacket. She put on the jacket to go into the store. That's all I'm saying.
Oh my god.
Like, seriously, there was no other reason. Whatever. Anyway, so she states that having a baby is expensive because she spent $312.46 on all of the stuff that she bought. Now,
She could have spent more.
She could have, absolutely. Easily. But it doesn't look like she bought everything she had in the cart, or that she didn't bring it all inside, because she only had the 3 bags, and everything that was in that cart would not have fit in just 3 bags.
No.
So I'm assuming if she spent $312, that there had to have been more stuff in there. So Piper is, of course, surprised at the cost.
And then Dan chimes in, telling Prue that her timing's perfect because Matthew needs to be changed.
Yeah. Prue then gets a towel that is just a la convenience on the back of a kitchen chair.
Well, it's a kitchen towel.
Well, but it's bigger than a kitchen towel.
That's fair.
Yeah. Most kitchen towels are like tea towels. This was most definitely like a bath towel.
Well, knowing me, bath towels end up everywhere, so.
Well, yeah. Anyway, so she gets the towel, she lays it down on the table, and Dan puts Matthew on the blanket, and Prue starts to take his diaper off. And they're all surprised by the smell.
Prue's like, what does he live on? Wheatgrass?
Yeah. Dan offers to change him, but they decline the offer. And
as he's reminding them to clean under his ...
Yeah.
He doesn't manage to finish the sentence because at that point, Matthew pees this great yellow arc.
Yeah, it squirts up, and Piper freezes it just in time, like right before it hits them, which of course, freezes Dan as well. And so the girls regroup, they form a plan, they do a quick little countdown, which I thought was very funny, and then Piper unfreezes everything, and Prue once again uses her power for personal gain to move the pee stream so that it misses them and goes flying out of the kitchen floor behind them.
And then Dan says a phrase that I hate, but actually, this is the only context I will accept it in, which is, boys will be boys.
Yeah, I also hate that phrase.
The only reason I like it for this context is because what do babies do when their genitals are exposed to air? They pee.
Yeah.
And sure enough, boys, well, we'll just call them boys because they don't have gender identity just yet. They have, more aim. They can arc.
Yeah.
Girls don't so much do that when they're babies.
Not so much.
So, yeah, for anyone who's probably going to have a little boy, cover the pee-pee.
Yeah.
Cover it when you're changing the diaper because you will get splashed.
Yeah.
I have changed enough baby diapers of little boys that, I was told that many a time, and I have never forgotten to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Because do I want to be splashed by piss? No, thank you.
No, not so much. Anyway, so the girls continue changing Matthew, and in the wide shot we can see that they're dealing with a baby doll instead of a real baby because the foot that is seen is plastic. Mm-hmm. But, that's par for the course when you're working with kids. So Prue tries to put the diaper on, but it's apparently too small. And Dan says that it's probably the wrong size, but Piper didn't know that sizes were a thing or what size she was supposed to get. And Dan says that he's got him covered, and he grabs a tea towel that has like a waffle motif on it. It's kind of funny.
Mm-hmm. And it was weirdly smooth for a tea towel.
Well, yeah. And he turns it into a diaper. Now, I'm not sure where he found the pins that he used to keep it closed, but a la convenience, what can you do?
Put a pin in it.
Yeah. Piper then calls him MacGyver with estrogen. Now, I've never understood this line.
No.
Dan doesn't have estrogen. Wouldn't he just be MacGyver?
I guess.
Because I asked my mother about this because she happened to be in the room at the time, and she said something along the lines of, because the new MacGyver, the brand new show, wasn't around yet. So this is talking old MacGyver, which I have never seen. And she's saying that basically, like, the original MacGyver wouldn't have done, like, domestic anything.
Yeah.
Which was why she was saying he's MacGyver with estrogen, because he had the maternal instinct to know what to do. But I personally think that...
paternal.
Whatever. But I think that if it's MacGyver...
Eternal.
But if it's MacGyver, he would have figured something out.
That was a joke in my birth announcement, actually.
What?
My birth announcement was based off of Twin Peaks.
Okay.
It was a little story that my dad wrote. And there's this bit where the main character gets into an elevator in the hospital and sees a button for, like, the 8th floor or whatever, where part of the name is, like, rubbed off, and what's left is Ternity, because it's supposed to be the maternity ward, but it just says Ternity, and he wonders if he's going to be there for eternity.
Okay.
Yeah, my dad was weird.
Was?
Weird. He's still a bit weird. He's not as weird as he was.
Everyone mellows with age.
It's more he just got conservative.
Anyway, it doesn't really matter. Whatever. So Dan says that cloth diapers are more environmentally friendly but harder to use. Personally, I think that the towel will be fine until Matthew pees again because it is not meant to be used that way.
Nopity.
But whatever. He offers to pick up the right size on his way home, which means that he's probably off to work because that statement wouldn't make sense otherwise because, you know, he lives next door. Prue enthusiastically shakes her head yes, and Piper thanks him. And he hands Matthew to Prue, tells Piper that he'll see her tonight, kisses her on the cheek, and then leaves. Prue then hands Matthew to Piper because she has to leave as well. And she grabs her purse and runs out of the room.
Before Piper can stop her.
Yeah, and Piper kind of yells after her that she's keeping count of how many times she gets left with the baby. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Then we get a lovely exterior shot of the police station from a slightly different angle. Inside, Phoebe and Daryl are sitting with the sketch artist. Phoebe is telling the sketch artist, whose name is Hernandez, what the guy in her premonition looked like. So now that we have a name, I shall tell you a little bit about him. Hernandez is played by Rolando Molina. He was born in El Salvador in 1971 and immigrated to the U.S. at a very young age. He got into acting in a very interesting way. He was working as a security guard at Universal Studios when Edward James Olmos noticed him and asked him to audition for his new film. Yeah. He was given his first role, a cameo as a cop, in Olmos's 1992 movie American Me. Because, you know, he just happened to be working as a security guard.
Sure.
I was like, you look like someone who could be a cop in my movie. Come audition for me. And he got the part. And I just think that's kind of cool.
That is kind of cool.
Yeah. So, he's done a lot of single episodes of TV shows, he's had some bit parts in movies, and he's still acting, and he actually has 2 products in post-production right now. So there you go. Anyway, so Phoebe is giving instructions on how to change the picture, and Hernandez asks if they're looking for a murder suspect. Daryl tells him to not ask any questions, but Hernandez wants to know what to do with the picture when he's done with it. He jokes about sending it to a psychic hotline, and Phoebe exclaims that she's positive that it now looks like the guy that they want it to look like. So Daryl tells Hernandez to print them a copy, run it through the database, and try to get a name. Hernandez looks at Daryl about to ask a question, and Daryl just is like, just do it. And then Phoebe pats him on the back, and they just kind of walk off. But because the phrase psychic hotline came up, I wanted to talk about something that I'm not sure that many people know about. There is a 5-minute fan film that came out in 2002 called Darth Vader's Psychic Hotline. It's a spoof of Star Wars and like Miss Cleo type psychic hotline infomercials with Darth Vader taking calls and giving advice to other various Star Wars characters.
Both of the original 3 movies and of the first prequel.
Yeah. So be warned, there are technically spoilers kind of in the 5-minute video
yeah.
if you've never seen Star Wars. Yeah.
And if you care that you've never seen Star Wars and don't want to be spoiled.
Yeah.
Which I would say for just about every movie. Bit late.
Yeah, true. But it was just kind of funny, and so I thought I'd bring it up. So I will link it to the website for anyone who wants to watch it. And, you know, I'll even put a link to the wiki for Miss Cleo for anyone who doesn't know what she is, who she was. But I'd rather not tangent on her, because...
Oh, and if you do watch this video, keep an eye out for science fiction things that are not Star Wars in the video. There's a lot of them. And they're amusing.
Yep. Yeah.
It's like that one photo of Patrick Stewart that says, "Use the Force, Harry, Gandalf."
Yeah, yeah.
I like that shit.
Yeah, it's quite fun. Anyway, so we cut to Prue in her office. No exterior shot. She is receiving the facts of the man and is on the phone with Phoebe, who is still at the station. Prue says that the man in the sketch is Gilbert von Leeuwen, so I will quickly tell you what I know about the actor because there's not a lot to tell. His name is Rick Coy, and that's just R-I-C. There's no K.
And there's not a lot of information because he's being coy about it.
He started acting in 1991. He has no picture on IMDb and only has 15 acting credits, with this episode of Charmed being the last one. So there you go. Back to the show. Prue recognizes the name because his family apparently has a huge art collection.
And that's the only way she would recognize anyone's name.
They apparently wanted to sell part of it when his father mysteriously died last summer.
And then she, off the cuff, remembers reading that his brother died just a couple of days ago, which makes Phoebe realize that the ghost isn't just after baby Matthew.
Yep.
And this reminds me that I have a book to lend you.
Okay.
Red Shirts by John Scalzi.
Okay.
It's hilarious. I
All
think
right.
you'll get a kick out of it.
All right. I'm sure I will.
So Phoebe asks Prue if she wants to meet up with her and Morris to talk to Gilbert, because it'd be nice to have an active power with them,
Yeah.
as opposed to a guy with a gun.
Yeah. Prue sees Jack and a delivery guy outside her office and says that she'll go because who wants to go to New York anyway, right?
Sad face.
Yeah. Phoebe just gives the phone a look, and then she says goodbye, and they hang up, and Jack comes in with lunch, and we get one more shot of the sketch before we cut over to a large house, which is apparently the Van Leeuwen's house. Inside, Gilbert is having an argument with a woman named Alexandra. Gilbert is in a dark sweater over a button-down shirt and dark gray pants, and Alexandra is in a pink sweater set, black pants, and a pearl necklace.
And her blonde hair is very obviously curled. Mm-hmm. Not like it's curly, just curled.
Like, the pearl necklace is the We Come From Money uniform.
Yeah, it really is the We Come From Money uniform.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Especially the pearl necklace. And it's not just the We Come From Money, it's We Come From Old Money.
Yes, we're from old money.
Yeah.
Where I go to get my hair done every week.
Exactly. It kind of like made me think of back to my Catholic school days where for the seniors, their senior picture,
Oh, yeah.
they had to wear black and a pearl necklace.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of glad I never had to
Yeah.
do that. I own black. I do not own pearls.
I'm sure they would have let you get away with fake pearls.
But would they? Would they really?
I saw those photos, and I'm pretty sure at least one girl was wearing costume pearls.
Oh, I'm sure.
So they would let you.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. But, you know, whatever. Doesn't matter. Anyway, I would never have graduated from that school. I have learned this.
Yeah.
I needed 2 years of a language to graduate. It was not going to happen. Anyway, so now that we have names for both of these peoples, let me tell you about them. I've already told you about Gilbert, so let's quickly tell you about this actress. Her name is Hilary Danner. She started acting in 1993 and stopped in 2005.
Just before her career could become a teenager.
Sure. She has no picture on IMDb, but it does say that she's Gwyneth Paltrow's cousin.
They don't much
So
look alike.
there's that, you
Sure.
know. Yeah. Anyway, so Gilbert and Alexandra are arguing about where Matthew is.
And Gilbert is telling his wife that he abandoned the baby for his own good, apparently right before his christening, because apparently this ghost strikes at the moment of greatest joy. And Alexandra is not really taking his shit. She's like, I get that you've been under a lot of stress since your brother died, but honey, ghosts don't exist.
Yeah. And then there's an ominous sound, and Gilbert knows that the ghost is near.
And then an older woman walks in and tells them to leave.
Yep. And then the ghost appears. So this older woman is wearing a tan top and pants with a gray sweater draped over her shoulder and pearls, because why not? The ghost is in a black 3-piece suit and jacket.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we learn that the woman's name is Martha, but we still don't know the ghost name. So let me tell you a little bit about Martha. The actress is Stephanie Beacham. She was born in 1947 in England. She's been acting since 1967, and she's still going strong.
Woo.
She has been in many different shows and had a 22-episode run on the TV show Dynasty back in the 1980s. I remember her from a show called Sister Kate that only had one season of 19 episodes back in like 1989, 90. It was about a nun that got stuck running an orphanage, and it also starred Jason Priestley.
Because of course it did.
Yeah. And Jason Priestley played Brandon, the twin brother of Shannon Doherty's character Brenda on the original Beverly Hills 90210.
Full freaking circle.
Well, it's going to get more circular. Stephanie Beacham was also on Beverly Hills 90210 for a few episodes. She played Dylan's mother, and from what I have read about the show, because I did not watch the show, Dylan was Brandon's best friend and Brenda's boyfriend. Completely circular. I love it.
Well, you know what's more circular than circular? A sphere. It's fucking spherical.
There you go. It's spherical.
Because they operate in different planes, but they come together.
So she was married to an actor named John McHenry for about 6 years, and they have 2 daughters, Phoebe and
Aww.
Chloe. Yeah, I thought it was kind of funny. Oh, and she's partially deaf. She was born with no hearing in her right ear and only about 80% in her left. So there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the show.
Yeah.
The ghost is like, it's too late to save Gilbert. Martha is, like, begging for his life because she's his mom.
Yeah, you know.
We gather.
Yep.
And the ghost is like, where's the baby? But Gilbert's like, fuck you, I'm not telling.
Yep.
So Ghosty zaps him, and he falls over the banister to his death.
Yeah. The ghost then tells Martha that she's stuck in the house until she's watched him kill all of the men in her family. And we go to commercial break.
So he's a misandrist? I'm kidding. We both know that's not a thing.
Anyway, when we come back from the commercial break, we are outside the Van Leeuwen's house as Prue pulls up in Piper's green SUV and walks over to Phoebe and Daryl. And there's other police and paramedics around as well.
Prue walks up to Phoebe and Daryl.
Yep.
And Daryl's like, yeah, Gilbert Van Leeuwen fell over the banister, and the medical examiner is listing the cause of death as accidental.
Yeah. Phoebe says that there's been a lot of accidents around here lately, and they convince Daryl that they have to go in and find out if this is where Matthew lived. Daryl tells them that this isn't his crime scene,
And
then
they're not cops.
yeah, but he gives in because he's Daryl, and they head into the house.
And because it's necessary for the story.
Well, there is that. There's a cop standing in the doorway, and Daryl says that the girls are with him, and then the cop asks if they're his psychic friends.
And Daryl quips back if this guy wants to be a meter maid.
He then asks who called in the death, and the cop says that it was Martha and points them in her direction. And Daryl turns to the girls and says that he'll do all the talking, and they agree, and they head over to Martha. And behind them, there's a body bag on a gurney that is being wheeled out, and the body bag is blue.
Like a navy?
Yeah, it was like a dark blue, but it's just weird because I thought they only came in black. Apparently I was wrong.
Maybe the coroner wanted to mix it up a little.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so they go over to Martha, and Daryl introduces himself and says he's sorry for her loss, and then says that he has a few questions for her and her daughter-in-law. Martha says that Alexandra is resting, and Daryl asks about the baby, and Martha says that the baby is with his aunts before saying that she doesn't want to talk anymore. Phoebe and Prue run upstairs as he is saying that he understands and giving his condolences again, and then as Martha walks off, he notices that the girls are gone.
And he's like, oh, fuck.
Yeah. So we cut to upstairs, where Prue and Phoebe have found the baby's room.
And Phoebe immediately spots a pillow that has Matthew embroidered on it, so they know they're in the right place now.
Yeah. They decide not to mention where the baby is in case the ghost is hanging around, and then Alexandra comes in and finds them, and it is very clear that she has been crying. She asks who they are, and Phoebe introduces them, and Prue says that they are grief counselors with the police department, because that's their excuse for being up there. Alexandra says that she doesn't need any counseling, and she wants to be alone, and so the girls say that they understand, and they can help.
And Alexandra kind of, snarks at them and asks if they can bring back her husband.
Yeah.
Prue's like, no, but we could bring back someone else.
Yeah, but Alexandra doesn't take the bait, and she tells him to leave and walks away. And then we dissolve into an exterior night shot of the manor. I love when they dissolve. I don't know why, but as a scene change, I really enjoy the dissolving shots. Not sure why I enjoy them so much, but I do. So, at the kitchen, Phoebe and Prue are sitting at the table. Prue is working on her presentation, and Phoebe is looking for stuff on the computer. And then Piper walks in holding Matthew, who is loudly crying.
Very loudly. And it really makes you think about, what do they do to these babies to get them to cry?
Well, they just wait until they're tired and then record them.
That could be it.
Yeah. Prue is in a gray long-sleeve sweater that may be a hoodie, but I don't think I ever actually see if it is or not. Phoebe is in a very colorful top that's a bit hard to describe. It is
harder than the last one?
Yeah, because it's like all sorts of color blocking weirdness. Eventually there will be a picture of it on the website. And that's about all I can say about it. Oh, and the necklace is gone from her head.
Good, because it belongs on her neck.
Yeah, well... Piper is in black pants and a white t-shirt that has like both red and blue trim. Like it's a line of blue and a line of red.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Piper is still really miffed about being left with the crying baby.
Yeah.
And wondering when one of the rest of them is going to take a turn. And Phoebe is just kind of like in the midst of being overwhelmed by all this information about the Van Leeuwen family on the internet.
Yeah.
Prue is kind of overwhelmed with the presentation because Jack got it postponed until the morning, which means she's already broken her promise of there being no more interruptions.
Yep. Absolutely. Piper, of course, doesn't understand why they didn't just tell Alexandra and Martha that they had the baby, but Prue says it's because, they couldn't risk the ghost following them home, which is a good logical leap to make,
Yeah, especially if you're them, and the last experience they had with ghosts was when following them home from Alcatraz.
Indeed. And, trying to kill them.
Yes.
So there is
a very
that.
mobile ghost.
So they figure that they have about 12 hours to vanquish the ghost before Daryl has to come to take the baby away. And Phoebe says that she knows that ghosts always haunt for a specific personal reason, so she's going to find out how they know this ghost. But Piper disagrees. She thinks that it's Phoebe's turn to take the baby, and she'll find the ghost.
So Piper very firmly hands him over and takes a spot at the table.
And Matthew continues to cry, and they're trying to figure out why he's not stopping. They think that it can't be a hungry cry since they just fed him.
And it
that
can't be a sleepy cry or he'd fall the fuck to sleep.
Yeah, so maybe it's a burpy cry.
So Phoebe decides to turn around and pat Matthew on the back. And because his face is facing the table, he naturally spits up onto it, and therefore onto Prue's presentation.
Yep, it
Just
was
in the middle of all those fucking slides.
Yeah. Though, to be fair, most of the slides were in plastic protector sheets.
I know, but that's hard to clean.
Yeah, but, the slides themselves didn't get puked on. Just the plastic they were in. Just saying. Just saying. Anyway, so then we get a lovely little time jump. We get an insert shot of a clock on the wall that says that it's 11:23. I would like to thank my mother for telling me what that was. Which fades into the grandfather clock in the hallway, which shows that it's 2 o'clock in the morning.
Thanks, Mom.
Actually, no, that one I got on my own.
Oh, right, because you can do it when it's on the hour.
Sometimes. There's actually... My brain is just fucking weird, right? Okay, so I had to actually look up the WikiHow on how to read a clock and leave it open.
Oh.
It's like, my brain is weird in that I can learn how to do it.
And then you will forget.
And then I forget how to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like looking at a silent. You see it when it's there. You look away, you forget you've seen it.
Yeah, that's kind of... Yeah. That is like the best way of saying that, yeah. My brain just will not retain that information, and I don't know why. And it's only that. Of all of the things, it's how to read an analog clock. My brain just goes, nope. So at least, it's not something that is vital in my daily life,
That's fair.
Yeah. Of all of the things to not be able to remember.
That would be a funny prank, though, to switch your watch into, Chinese or something and have the clock be analog. That'd be hilarious.
No, thank you.
Because then you couldn't figure out how to change it.
Yeah, no thank you. Let's not.
I couldn't figure out how to do that either. Because I don't have your fucking watch.
Yeah, it's because my watch is a Fitbit.
Yeah, and I don't know how to work that shit.
Yeah, it's an app on my phone.
Yeah.
Anyway, so thank you to the WikiHow for helping me realize the times. Because we will see the clock again a couple more times. So we fade into the grandfather clock, which shows that it is now apparently 2 o'clock in the morning.
Piper is now reading a book. Prue is holding Matthew, and Phoebe is still on the computer.
Yeah. Prue is lamenting that Matthew is still awake, and Phoebe asks Piper if she's found anything in the book she's reading, which is apparently the Dr. Spock book. Now, this is not to be confused with Mr. Spock of Star Trek fame,
who, although he is a science officer, is not a doctor. Damn it, Jim.
Indeed, yeah. Dr. Benjamin McLean Spock was born in 1903. He died in 1998. He was an American pediatrician whose book, The Common Sense Book of Baby and Child Care from 1946, is still one of the bestsellers of all time. At the time of his death back in 98, the book was the best-selling book of the 20th century aside from the Bible. The first line of the book is, "Trust yourself, you know more than you think you do," which is just beautiful.
And, good advice for a book that was written in 1946.
Indeed. As of 2011, the book had been translated into 39 different languages.
That's a lot.
Indeed.
Less than the Bible, but a lot.
Oh, and fun fact about the man himself. In 1924, while attending Yale University, he won an Olympic gold medal in rowing.
In a rowing?
In rowing.
You said a rowing.
Did I? I didn't mean to.
Anyway. Piper says that the book doesn't really have anything that they didn't already try, and asks Phoebe if she found anything useful from the internet.
And other than the fact that the Van Leeuwens have a lot of money and therefore the possibility of a lot of enemies, there's not a whole lot that she's found.
Prue! Okay, Blue, what?
Oh.
Prue very helpfully starts to say that they should focus on the death of Martha's husband, and that's of course when Matthew gets fussy.
Kind of like Blue is being fussy right now. What's up? Huh?
After a few accusatory questions, Prue just lays Matthew down on his blanket and tips all of the stuff out of her purse, and then kind of uses her power to turn it into a mobile floating above him.
Yeah, Piper wonders if that isn't personal gain, but as we've seen so many times so far in this episode, Prue doesn't care because
look,
it's working.
It's working.
Yeah. Matthew then farts, and it is assumed that he is also filling his diaper. Yeah. So then we cut to the same clock that showed us 11:23 before, which is apparently the clock in the kitchen, which now says 3:10. So it's only been a little over an hour. Prue is holding up Matthew near the kitchen sink in his little baby bath, and she's using her power, once again, to hold up the shower spray, and the water is rinsing him. And she finishes rinsing him off and then wraps him up in a blanket.
Piper is sitting over at the table looking for information on the computer, and miraculously, in the hour and 10 minutes since she asked Phoebe, who had nothing, she's found out that the Van Leeuwen chauffeur, Elias Lundy, disappeared suddenly before Martha's husband died.
Yeah.
Which means Phoebe had been working on that question for like 5 hours.
Yeah.
She's bad at Googling.
She really is. She really is. So Prue, putting Matthew back into his little carrier, thinks that he could have just left, meaning Elias Lundy. But Piper says that if he did, he left everything he owned, including his savings account and his car. You know.
And there was a really cute moment when Prue's laying down Matthew in the baby carrier, where he grabs at her hair, and Shannon kind of played it off like, oh no, don't do that.
Yeah, it was adorable. It was super cute. And you could totally tell that it wasn't a Prue moment. It was very much a Shannon moment.
Yeah.
Where it was like, the baby's grabbing my hair. I have to stay in character. Okay, no. Like, it was super, super cute. She played it off real nice. So, Prue thinks that they need to go and talk to Martha about it. Piper is, of course, skeptical that Martha's actually going to talk to them. But Prue reminds her that they have her grandson, so, you know, she does have a reason to talk to them.
Leverage.
Yeah.
Different show.
It really is.
Phoebe walks in with the Book of Shadows, and she's like, forget Dr. Spock. Our mom must have written something in the book about how to deal with babies, you know, since she had 3 girls.
Yeah, so she finds a page in the book titled, On the Place of Magic in the Rearing of a Child.
Which, what is this, grammar?
It's an entire page in the Book of Shadows where at the very bottom, the line says, sometimes a baby just has to cry.
Super helpful, guys. That's super helpful.
Yeah, and Prue even does the sarcastic, thanks, Mom, kind of thing.
Thanks, Obama.
Yeah. Phoebe thinks that since they're women, taking care of babies should be in their DNA.
Since you're people, taking care of babies should be in your DNA.
Well, you know.
Like, hello, biological imperative much?
Matthew starts crying again, and Piper freezes him and then complains that she can't keep doing this all night. And Phoebe just kind of puts her head into her arms on the table. We then get another time lapse. We get an exterior shot of the manor that turns into a day shot. And in the kitchen, we see the clock on the wall now reads 7:48. Thank you, WikiHow. Hashtag not sponsored. We pan down from the clock to see the baby bath still in the sink. We pan over to see the towels and stuff on the counter. And then we jump over to the table where all 3 girls are asleep. And
Phoebe, in particular, is curled up with a big bird doll.
yeah, it was adorably cute.
And Dan is in the house because they never lock their fucking doors.
Yeah, and he is now wearing a brown gingham button-down shirt over like a gray t-shirt. And he is holding Matthew, who is now in a long-sleeve onesie with what looks to be like bears on it.
It was cute.
Yeah, because the baby has made some sort of noise. Piper wakes up and stares at Dan and then wonders if he's too good to be true. Dan says that maybe someday she'll find out through personal experience, which makes Piper smile a little bit and made me gag a little bit. And then she stands up and he says that he has to go to work, and so he hands her the baby. And then we totally have the cutest moment, which was, again, it was a total Holly moment, not a Piper moment. When she takes the baby, she goes, "Hi, silly." And she does the cutest, which is, "I know." It was like the cutest thing ever.
This is what happens when you have live babies in TV shows. You can't help being cute with them.
Yeah, it was It was super duper cute. Like, I don't like babies. I've never been a fan of, like, babies because they can't tell you what's wrong. But just
I'm a fan
even
of
I
babies
have
in very
been
small
like,
doses.
yeah. But even I, like, with a baby, have been like, hi. It's like little puppies. You talk to them in that adorable little voice.
I like doing the swirl boop, where you, like, spiral your finger over their face and then boop their nose. It's really cute, and most babies love it.
Matthew would not, because that would be waving something in his face, and we know that Matthew does not like.
He might like the
things
little nose wiggle.
Maybe.
Lots of babies like that because it tickles.
Yeah, maybe. Anyway, so she thanks Dan, and he says that Matthew is beautiful, just like his cousin. And then he kisses her, and he says goodbye to Matthew, which I thought was kind of cute. And then he leaves, and Piper puts Matthew in the little carrier, and that's when Prue and Phoebe wake up.
Prue immediately hones in on the clock, realizes she's late, and walks out.
Yeah, she kind of runs out. Phoebe realizes that she has to go see Martha, and asks Piper to come with her, and Piper's like, right behind you, and they leave.
And then there's a short beat, and then they all walk back into the kitchen and stand around the baby in his carrier.
Yeah, because they realize. Yep, they realize that they had forgotten about the baby. So Phoebe wonders what they're going to do with Matthew, and we jump over to Buckland's. We cut there via exterior shot where we do see Umbrella Briefcase Guy. And then inside Prue's office, she's sitting at her desk. Now, here's the thing.
She has changed clothing.
She has changed clothing.
And hairstyles.
Yeah. So when we first saw her in the kitchen, she was still wearing the exact same outfit as before. Hair was wavy, whatever. She is now wearing a sleeveless brown knit top, and her hair is perfectly straight, and she has like a little charm thing hanging from her hair. We do not see her legs at this time, but we do assume that they are there. So she was running late, but she still took the time to straighten her hair.
That's my flail shrug, for those of you who aren't cued into the visual.
Yeah. Anyway, Jack enters looking very professional in his dark suit, white shirt, and orange tie.
Might I say, in stark contrast to his business partner.
Indeed. He asks if she's ready to wow Caldwell.
And then hears a baby crying and peeks his head over the desk.
Well, we kind of get a cut of seeing Matthew in a drawer in Prue's desk. Like, she cleared out a drawer to put the baby in the drawer instead of just leaving him in his carrier.
Well, this way she can shut him in the drawer and it'll look like he's not there.
Yeah,
Which,
that's
she get
child
him
abuse.
Up? Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, it's only child abuse if the baby doesn't like it.
No, still child abuse.
I'm kidding.
Anyway, Jack jokingly asks if she got the baby through office supplies, and she says that she had to bring him because there was nowhere else to put him.
And then she goes off on this tangent about how Caldwell should, work on a daycare center because she's not the only one with a kid. And Jack's like, hey, unless you got a surprise for me, you don't have a kid.
Yeah, but she says that she will one day, and then when Matthew starts being fussy, she puts her pinky finger near his mouth, like into his mouth, and he calms down, and she says that it took her all night to figure out that he only likes that finger.
And then gushes a little bit about her diapering skills.
Yeah, it was kind of cute. Jack, of course, tries to bring the conversation back to New York, and she says that she didn't finish the presentation, but he says that he figured that after she hadn't answered the 10th call that he made to her, that he would just finish it himself. She gets very excited and runs around her desk over to him, and she jumps into his arm and says that he's the best, and they kiss. And we can now see that the top is a bit of a crop top, because why wouldn't it be? It is Prue after all.
Her legs that are indeed there are swathed in a silver skirt.
Yeah, I kind of like the skirt. Mr. Caldwell walks up into the doorway wearing a dark suit of his own and interrupts their kissing. He says that since he needs his best and brightest in New York, he's taking Prue out of the running. Jack says that Prue had a family emergency, and he was only able to finish the presentation based off of her file.
But Caldwell, very astutely, is like, she has a lot of those family emergencies.
Yeah, which is kind of a bit of a callback to Claire Price.
Family emergency is like the code word for this entire fucking show.
Well, there is that.
Caldwell then tells Jack to be ready for the client at noon, and then hightails it out of there in his very authoritative way.
And we hear Matthew being fussy again, and we end on Prue smiling while looking in the direction of the baby in the drawer. Yeah. And then we cut over to the Van Leeuwen house again as Phoebe and Piper get out of Piper's car. Piper is now in blue jeans, an orange shirt, and a white hoodie with no jewelry. Phoebe is in black pants with a piece of blue fuzzy fabric tied over top like a wrap skirt.
Because she loves doing that.
Mm-hmm. But it looked like it was made to be a wrap skirt because it did have like a tie. It wasn't just the fabric tied. It actually had like a tie on it. And a shirt that has a pink torso with kind of like darker pink patterning on it, with sleeves that are white from the shoulder to the elbow and then alternate between rows of blues and purples crocheted down to the fingers. It's an odd top to describe. Like, even harder to describe than the one I couldn't really describe at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and she also has on a couple of beaded necklaces.
Because of course she does.
Of course she does. So, they knock on the door, and Martha answers. And Martha is wearing a black jacket with a fur collar and a silver heart brooch on it, along with some jewelry. And they tell her that they need to talk, and Martha asks if they're with the police, and they say no, but that they can help. And then Phoebe asks if the name Elias Lundy means anything to her.
And just in the background there, Alexandra comes in.
Yeah, she's wearing a black jacket over a white shirt with that pearl necklace just peeking out.
Uh-huh.
She sees the girls and asks why they're there, and then the girls, like, come into the house holding hands. It was kind of funny. Phoebe says that she needs to talk to them, and Martha questions what they want, and then Phoebe pulls a piece of cloth out of the front of her jeans. Not the pocket, mind you, but, like, by the belly button.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it has the name Matthew embroidered on it, and it looks like it's been ripped off of the baby blanket.
Yeah.
Not, like, carefully taken off. It looked like it was ripped off the baby blanket. Just saying. Alexandra...
Well, Piper might be able to knit, but she's no good at sewing.
Well, you'd think that she'd have, a seam ripper, though, and just be able to take it off nicely, but apparently not.
No. She was really frustrated, and she took it out on the baby blanket.
Apparently. Anyway, so...
Apparently.
Yes, apparently. So Alexandra wants to know if that he's safe, and Piper asks her to go to a safe place where they can talk.
But
and
then,
they hear...
dun, 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 we hear those noises that mean the ghost is approaching.
Yeah,
and he kind of like incorporeally steals the piece of cloth and floats it through the air. And then, of course, the ghost actually appears, catches the bit of cloth, and then asks where the child is.
Yeah, and Alexandra begs the girls not to tell him, like they were going to. And the ghost, goes to zap them, but Piper freezes the lightning stuff that comes out of his hand. And along with that, Martha and Alexandra freeze, but the ghost doesn't. And Piper wonders why he doesn't freeze, because she's frozen ghosts before, and the ghost realizes that they're witches. Phoebe tells her to unfreeze them so that they can get out of there, and so she does, and Phoebe, yells at them to duck as the lightning unfreezes as well, and they all duck, and it, flies over their heads and just obliterates a vase that was behind them.
I love how we never get any explanation of how it is that Elias can do the shit he can do. Because, he's a relatively new ghost. He's only been around for about a year.
Yeah, who knows?
Whereas the previous dude was there for, I don't know, what do we figure? 40 years?
Yeah, many.
40 odd years?
Many years.
Many a year.
Yeah.
And so, his ability to pick up shit and stab people with it was well-founded.
Yeah.
And he had help from Auntie Sharon, so he knew how to get off the island.
Mm-hmm.
So that's explained. But this guy being able to do force lightning and, knows what witches are, never explained.
Nope.
And other shit he does later in the episode, never explained.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that happens in this episode where you're just like, wait, what?
How? Why?
Yeah. Anyway, so they all run through the ghost toward the door, and he turns around and zaps Martha, who is at the back of the line, and she gets flung into a wall as Phoebe, Piper, and Alexandra make it outside. The ghost tries to follow them, but the house won't let him.
Yeah, he kind of reaches out an arm, supposedly through the door, but his arm stops at the doorway, just kind of dissolves into the doorway. So
yeah, there's a force field or something. Yeah. So
it's I feel like it's more like the holodeck on the Enterprise. Shit can't leave the holodeck that was made in the holodeck. Well, they even play with this a lot. But, if a person made in the holodeck tries to leave the holodeck, they kind of just dissolve as they pass the doorway. because that's as far as they can go. So this kind of reminded me of that, where like he tries to reach an arm out and it won't go.
Okay. So he seems to be confused by this turn of events, like he's never tried to leave before.
Well, surely not. There were still dudes for him to kill inside the house.
Yeah, and he tells them to bring the child or Martha will die, and then the door slams shut in their faces. Martha realizes that she's not the only one stuck in the house, and we go to commercial break. And when we come back, we get an outside shot of P3 in the daytime with the now appearing sign back up on the wall, and there's nobody in line or anything, so we know the club is still closed. Phoebe and Alexandra are sitting at the bar, and Piper is standing behind the bar, pouring coffee into cups. So we get to tangent again.
Of course.
Yep. Behind the bar, we see boxes of Corona Extra, which is one of the top-selling beers worldwide and the top-selling imported beer in the United States. There's also a box of Bohemia beer and a box with 2 X's on it, which is Dos Equis. So Dos Equis is literally Spanish for 2 X's, which I thought was very funny. I did not realize that at the time. It is most known by the Most Interesting Man in the World commercials that started in 2006. So the Mexican brewery that makes both Bohemia and Dos Equis is something I'm sure I can't pronounce properly because it's very Aztec, but I'm going to try. Cuauhtémoc Moctezuma Brewery. I did it.
Yeah.
I had to write it out phonetically.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, because it was hard to say.
And all of these beers taste like watered down piss.
Well, I don't like beer, so all beer tastes gross to me. But I will, of course, put links to everything on the website.
Well, they're all light beers. Just like...
Yeah. I will, of course, put links to everything on the website so you can see for yourself why it's hard to say. It's Aztec. That's harder than Norwegian.
Yeah.
Anyway, Piper thinks that they will be more comfortable at the manor. Phoebe thinks that the ghost can't follow them because it couldn't leave the house, but since Phoebe isn't positive, Alexandra won't risk it because she saw her husband die but doesn't want to see her baby die. You know, makes logical sense.
One
And
of
then-
the only things that does in this episode.
Yeah. And then we get exposition time as we learn that Elias Lundy was the family chauffeur. He was obsessed with Martha, and he even carved his and her initials onto the largest oak tree on the property. Then, apparently, one day Elias attacked Martha, and Martha's husband lured him out to the oak tree, shot him in the back, buried him on the grounds, and then a week later he mysteriously died at the house.
Yay!
Then Gilbert's brother died, and then his uncle, and then Gilbert himself. Phoebe questions why they stayed at the house, and we learn that until Gilbert's brother died, Gilbert didn't believe the story anyway, and he didn't believe in the ghost. We also learn that apparently Martha tried to sell the house once, but that the ghost wouldn't let her because he wants her to suffer for what her husband did to him.
Alexandra says that the ghost isn't going to quit until he gets Matthew, and the girls were like, well, we're not going to quit until we get him.
Yeah, and then they find out that Elias was supposedly buried under the oak tree with the initials carved into it.
Which is a little weird.
Well, you know,
I'm just like, well, first of all, like, why wouldn't you, obscure the initials? Because that's extremely creepy and personal.
yeah, there's a lot of things that are questionable in this episode.
You
Anyway,
don't say.
I do in fact say. Anyway, so then we cut over to Buckland's with no exterior shot. Prue is standing by the elevator, holding Matthew and trying to push the button when Jack runs up to her. She has added a leather jacket to her outfit, and Matthew is now in denim overalls and a red and black striped shirt.
Real cute.
Yeah. Jack says that he told Caldwell that there was no way he could have finished the presentation without her work, and that he couldn't do the job without her, and then he holds up 2 plane tickets saying the plane leaves in 2 hours, and jokingly tells the baby that he only has the 2 tickets.
And Prue's like, kids under 2 fly free.
Yeah, which he was afraid she was going to say. And after a moment, he decides that he's cool with the baby coming, but Prue realizes that she's not going to be able to go at all. She says sorry, he says me too, and the elevator opens and Prue walks in.
Jack is like, aw, you and the baby make a nice couple.
Yeah.
So she thanks him and kisses Matthew on the cheek as the elevator doors close.
Yeah, it was kind of adorable. And then we cut over to the manor with no exterior shot, and we see Phoebe is making a potion in the kitchen, which is shown by a bubbling pot on the stove. Phoebe has changed clothes and is now wearing a purple 3/4 sleeve shirt that shows off her belly button ring, and she's paired it with black pants. Piper walks in wearing a gray speckled shirt and black pants.
So I guess these are the grave robbing clothes. Well, grave digging clothes, I guess. Well, no, robbing. Yeah, robbing.
No, they're not robbing. It's more digging.
Yes, but grave digging is digging to make a grave. There is already a grave there. So digging to get access to the grave, which I think is technically under the heading of grave robbing.
Maybe. I don't know.
These be them digging clothes.
Anyway.
Piper lets Phoebe know that Prue's on her way home, and then smells what's being made and jokes it could melt your nostrils.
Yeah, and Phoebe jokes back that all the diaper changing has done that already.
Come on, baby shit isn't that bad.
It really, really isn't, especially when they're that young, but whatever. Phoebe then puts some mandrake root into a saucepan and wonders why she isn't better at this, quote, whole baby thing, unquote.
Because she's a good person who likes kids.
Yeah, and we get a bit of sister bonding moment where we learn that Phoebe feels like a failure, and they both realize that it's a lot more work than they thought to take care of babies.
You don't say.
Piper says that they should be grateful to have some time off from baby duty, and Phoebe agrees, and then we get a lovely little beat of silence before they both realize that they actually missed the little dude and the house is awfully quiet with him gone.
Aww.
It was cute. Phoebe then asks Piper if she wants to get the shovels, which Piper questions because she thought they were using a potion, and Phoebe says that they have to spread the potion over his bones, so, they have to unbury those bones. The only other way to vanquish him is to destroy the object of the curse, which is Martha, and they're supposed to save Martha.
So here are the stakes now.
Yep.
Prue then walks in with Matthew, and Phoebe and Piper zoom and hone in on him and start fussing over him, doing this baby talk.
Yeah, and Prue reminds him that she's home too, which I thought was kind of funny.
And then asks if they're ready.
Yeah, Phoebe says that they're ready, and then realizes that one of them should stay at the house with Matthew, and they all volunteer. Yeah, and then the doorbell rings. So Phoebe goes over to answer it, with Prue and Piper following after a moment. And at the door is Daryl, and he is wearing a lovely gray suit with white shirt. I can't remember the tie. For some reason, I didn't write it down.
For shame.
I know, right? It's weird. He's telling them that social services wants to know where the baby is.
Phoebe tells him to tell them that they have the baby, and he's like, I don't think 3 witches and a baby is gonna work as an answer.
Yeah, this is a reference to the movie 3 Men and a Baby from 1987. It was funny for the time. It was a funny movie. It starred Tom Selleck, Steve Guttenberg, and Ted Danson, and was directed by Leonard Nimoy.
And we're back to Star Trek.
Links on the website, of course, as per usual.
Piper starts to kick up a protest, but Daryl's like, I don't want to hear a ghost story, and I don't want to lose my shield because I didn't count for a baby.
Yeah.
So Prue's like, here's a plausible explanation for you. You'll be a hero if you could say that the baby was kidnapped and then abandoned, and that you're the one reuniting him with his mom.
Yep. So she asks him to stay with the baby at the house for a few hours to give them some time, and she hands him the baby. And she hands him the pacifier, and Phoebe tells him not to wave things in his face because he doesn't like that.
And then Piper's like, oh, but he does like the jiggle. Do you know the jiggle? And he's like, I'm a dad. Of course I know the jiggle.
Yeah, so this is the first time that we learn that Daryl is a dad.
Yeah.
I love how they just kind of throw it out there like we were supposed to know it all along. That's the best part.
Well, they were supposed to know it all along. They never told us.
Yeah, I enjoy that it wasn't like, didn't you know I was a father? I was like, no, of course I know the jiggle. I'm a father.
Yeah.
It was just a matter-of-fact statement. It wasn't a, ha-ha, I'm going to tell you this secret now kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whatever. Anyway, so after a little more instruction on how to handle Matthew, Prue kisses him and then starts to follow her sisters out the door.
And Phoebe's like, you really gonna wear that outfit?
Didn't think so. We'll meet you at the car. It was really cute. So Prue turns around, presumably to go change, and we're left looking at Daryl holding the baby.
No.
Yeah. And then we fade to an exterior shot of the Van Leeuwen's house, and it's all foggy and stuff.
Because why wouldn't it be?
The ghost appears, taunting Martha, who's trying to hide from him in the baby's room.
So he has a really creepy line about how he can always find her, and then tries to zap her, but she kind of tucks and rolls out of the way.
Yeah. And she says that he can punish her all he wants, but she doesn't know where Matthew is and wouldn't tell him even if she did.
So he zaps her again.
Yeah, and then we cut outside. But before we cut outside, I can finally tell you about this actor because she calls him Elias. And therefore we are now positive that the ghost is Elias. So, yeah. Elias is played by J. Kenneth Campbell, and that's just the letter J. Don't know what it stands for.
Well, if we're using Homer Simpson as a guide, it just means J, as in J-A-Y.
Okay, sure.
References.
He was born in 1947, and his first acting gig was in 1951, but he really started acting in 1970. He hasn't done anything since 2013. He's done a lot of single episodes of shows, including one episode of Angel that aired almost exactly a month after this episode of Charmed, where he played Angel's father.
Oh, back when he was named Liam.
Ha! So there you go.
And that's also the day he meets Darla. Pretty sure.
I honestly
My
do not
memory
remember.
of Angel is kind of...
It was season 1,
Same
episode
Marcus.
15. The episode was The Prodigal.
Yeah.
So there you
Yeah,
go. If
pretty sure
anybody
that's
wants
the
to
one.
look that up. It aired on February 22nd, 2000. So it was literally almost exactly a month after this.
So we get to outside where the girls are pulling up in a car.
Yep. They get out with the shovels and flashlights and the potion. Now, both Piper and Phoebe have added brown jackets to their outfit, and we see that Prue has changed into blue jeans and a black sweater, and has a black jacket with a blue scarf on as well. And it's kind of in what I lovingly call the Sherlock tuck.
Yeah.
Where it's like...
It's the one loop.
Yeah, like the Sherlock style is where you fold the scarf over in half, and then you loop the bottom through the middle.
Yes. I'm
and
familiar.
just kind of put that on. It's actually a really good way to wear a scarf.
It is.
Yeah. Anyway, so they assume that the tree is at the back of the property, which, good logic. So Piper tells Prue and Phoebe to dig him up, and she'll go in and protect Martha as long as she can. So once again, she's trying to get out of digging, which I thought was hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
So then we cut to the backyard, which is actually the same exterior shot with the fog that we had just a moment ago.
Yeah.
Prue and Phoebe are now searching for the tree, and Phoebe finds it. She finds the carving of EL plus MVL on said tree, and then, reaches down to find loose dirt on the ground nearby, though it shouldn't be loose because it's been like a year.
Yeah. And especially if you were trying to hide the fact that you buried your chauffeur under the tree, you'd probably, carefully scoop the grass off and lay it to the side and then start actually digging and then, compact it back and then put the grass over top and let it take root again.
Yeah. So she hands Prue her flashlight and then she starts to dig, and Prue realizes that she has a quicker way of getting to the bones. So once again, she uses her powers to make Elias's skeleton lift up out of the ground. So I want to know, why did they even bother with the shovels?
Because Prue wasn't there when they were brainstorming and getting supplies.
I guess, but also I want to know, how long was Elias buried there that he's already a skeleton?
Okay, I don't actually have the information on this for how quickly bodies decompose, but, maybe it's possible?
The only thing I can think of is because he was buried without formaldehyde, like he wasn't autopsied
Probably,
and whatever,
yeah.
you do decompose faster if you don't get preserved. Anyway, then we cut back into the house, and the ghost is zapping at Martha, who's still trying to hide in the baby's room, and he's taunting her again, saying that there are many things worse than death.
Which, would he know?
Well, apparently she taught him that.
Ugh.
Yep, and he says that he can keep zapping at her forever.
God, fucking friendzone douchebag.
Yeah. Piper then enters the room and freezes the lightning. He tells her to bring him the child and that he'll spare her life, and she says it's a bit late for that. And then we cut back to Phoebe and Prue, who have
Found the
apparently...
reason for them bringing shovels, I guess.
Yeah.
Because they make the quite excellent decision to hit his bones with the shovel?
Yeah, we kind of cut back and forth between watching Prue smacking at Elias's bones with the shovel and Elias yelping in pain with each strike. After a couple of hits, he realizes that they've found his bones and his grave, and he disappears. And we cut back outside, and we see Prue taking the lid off the bottle of potion just as Elias appears near a window, not leaving the house, just kind of looking out the window. And while he can't leave the house, apparently his power can, because he zaps the ground near Prue and Phoebe and makes them scream and they fall down.
And then somehow he manages to open a portal to hell or some shit.
Yeah, we honestly don't know. It just looks like the bones go back into the ground.
But there was this weird red light that came when the hole opened up.
Well, no, because
I think he probably made them go super fucking far down.
I don't know, because the red light happened when the bones came out of the ground. When Prue brought the bones up, there was a little red light.
Was there?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Yeah. It emanated from where the bones were, showing that her magic was coming through. And then so when he brings the bones back into the ground, the red light kind of goes backwards. Whatever. It was weird.
It looked like a portal. opened up and then the bones just kind of went...
Yeah, they
right
kind of got sucked down. The girls get up and run away as he zaps at them again, and we go to commercial break, because why wouldn't we?
And it's our last commercial break.
So, we come back from said commercial to see Prue and Phoebe running up to the house holding hands, and as they come through the front door, they are no longer holding hands. They call out for Piper, and they run upstairs when they hear her and ask if she's seen the ghost. Piper wonders why they didn't vanquish him, and Phoebe says that he's hidden his bones someplace they'll never be able to find them.
And this is where I come to the conclusion that he is, like, opened up some kind of weird-ass portal to drop them, like, if not in hell, at least, like, way down below.
Yeah, because otherwise it's a la convenience, because all we saw was the bones going back in the ground.
And again, no explanation as to how he's able to fucking do this.
Yeah. Martha tells them that they have to get out then, and Piper says that they're not leaving, and Martha's all worried that there's no other way to stop him.
At which point all three girls share
the look. Yeah, they agree
that meaning that there is another option, but they're like, no, that's not an option, and Martha demands to know what they're thinking.
Yeah, they tell her that there is one other way to vanquish him, but it means destroying the object of his wrath. Martha realizes that means her, and then asks if she dies, he dies. Piper says yes, but it's their job to protect the innocent, which means that they have to protect her.
At which point, Martha drops a nice little truth bomb that her hubby wasn't the one that shot Elias in the back. That was her. Because apparently Elias was going to kill her husband, so she killed him first.
Yeah.
And then he came back as a ghost, killed him anyway, and then killed everyone she loved. So, the point is moot.
Yeah, and Elias comes back telling her, you tried to kill me so I wouldn't kill him, but guess what? I did it. And then he asks Martha why she killed him and is like, I loved you. And she's like, well, I didn't love you.
No shit.
Duh. He's like, they can't protect you forever.
And she's like, yeah, you're right. But I can protect Matthew. And then, fucking...
runs out of the room.
Yeah, sprints.
Yeah, she goes through Elias and flings herself over the banister. Prue and Elias both yell after her. And then Martha's spirit floats up out of her body up to the banister where Elias is standing. And he's all like, what have you done? And she says, I've killed us both. And then she tells him to go to hell.
And underneath him, a hole opens up in the floor and flames come out of it. So he starts burning and he disappears in the hole and it's very satisfactory.
Yeah.
Satisfying. It's very satisfying. And then the hole closes back up.
Yeah, he kind of spins a little. It was kind of funny. Mm-hmm. I do think it very interesting that she's like, go to hell, Elias. And then he does.
Yeah.
At least he can follow directions like a good chauffeur. Piper is, of course, confused as to what they do now. And Martha says that they don't do anything now. She did what she had to do to save her grandchild. And so this is where she belongs. And she thanks them for protecting Matthew, and then she disappears into a puff of white smoke.
I thought she floated up.
Nope, she kind of disappeared. Okay. Disappeared into a puff of white smoke. And then we see the girls standing on the balcony for a moment before we fade into a shot of the sun rising behind some buildings that I know that we've had before a lovely exterior shot of the manor. Now, I do think it's very, very interesting that they're like, what do we do now? And the ghost is just like, nothing. You do nothing. No, what you do is you get the fuck out of the house is what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Because you are now there when someone has killed themselves.
Yeah.
Yet another accident in this house. Just saying. Anyway, so after the exterior shot of the manor, on the DVD, the song I Love You by Martina McBride is playing, while we get a lovely little montage of Prue, Piper, and Phoebe washing Matthew in the little baby bath, and then drying him off and changing his diaper, and dressing him into this adorable little velvet full coverage onesie thing that's black on the bottom and light blue on the top. It was super duper cute.
And they're all being super happy and giggly and fawning over the baby.
Yeah.
It's really cute.
Yep.
And it works really well with that song.
It really does. So on Netflix, because I recognized the Martina McBride song, I had to look it up on Netflix and see what was playing. It was something pop, but both SoundHound and Shazam failed me as to what it was.
Oh, hashtag not sponsor.
Mm-hmm. It kind of reminded me of the last episode that we couldn't find anything about the song. There was no
do you think
finding.
The lyrics at least would be Googleable?
I don't think
for this
so.
one?
No.
Damn it.
Nope. So once again, they have all changed clothes. Phoebe...
At least it makes sense this time.
Yep. Phoebe is now in a white off-the-shoulder top that looks like the sleeves are barely attached, paired with something light pink at the bottom. We can't really see all of it at this point. And her hair is back in a braided bun, and she's wearing a single beaded necklace. Piper is in black pants and a gray sweater with like black, gray, and purple scallop detailing on the front. It was interesting. She has a single braid on the side of her head, and the rest of her hair is down. And Prue is in a purple scoop neck top that has a bit of a pattern on it that's hard to discern, but it seems vaguely paisley, and a bright pink skirt. But that's all we can see of the outfit at this time. Then, because all we have is this little montage, we then cut over to an exterior shot of the police station. Inside, Alexandra and Daryl are standing around when the girls arrive with Matthew. Alexandra is still wearing the exact same outfit as she was before, but now she's added another jacket over top of it. And Daryl looks like he's changed shirts, this time to a dark blue, but the suit is the same one as before. So, yeah. We can now see also the bottom of Phoebe's outfit was a light pink skirt that has a geisha face on it. She really does love the Asian, doesn't she?
Mm-hmm. Well, just like Prue likes the Native American.
Yeah.
And Piper likes the frumpy.
Well, Piper likes comfy.
And sweater sets.
Yeah. And there's also, at the bottom of this geisha skirt, there's like some blocking of colors at the bottom, and the back of it looks like it's a light blue color. It's a weird skirt. And she's also added...
You have used that word to describe every single one of Phoebe's outfits.
Because they're all weird. All of them are weird this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She's also added a jean jacket to the outfit because it wasn't weird enough. We can also see that Prue's pink skirt has some fringe at the bottom, and she's paired the outfit with brown cowboy boots and a long white jacket.
As you do.
Mm-hmm. Piper has added a fuzzy purple jacket to her outfit and is holding what looks to be the baby blanket that she had made for the friend's baby shower at the beginning of the episode. So I want to know what happened to the baby shower that they were supposed to go to that she apparently, didn't go to. But whatever. We never hear about it. We have no idea.
Well, maybe she was just one of those people who likes to make the present like a week in advance. So the baby shower hasn't happened yet.
Maybe. Who knows? So Alexandra walks over to them and takes Matthew from Phoebe.
And then Piper hands her the blanket and the bear that she knitted and jokes about how they couldn't clean all of the throw up off of it.
Yeah. Alexandra asks how she can thank them, and Phoebe asks to let them babysit sometimes as a thank you. And then Prue tells her to take good care of Matthew, and they all kiss him goodbye, and they leave.
It's adorable.
Yeah. And then we cut to an exterior night shot of P3. There's a small crowd at the door, and the now appearing sign is gone yet again. I'll never get over that. I love it.
It's the disappearing now appearing sign.
Yeah.
Now appearing.
Yeah. Inside, Prue and Phoebe...
Or the now disappearing sign.
Well, there is that. Inside, Prue and Phoebe are at the bar with Piper behind the bar. Piper is in a black top with what I'm assuming is a red skirt, but we literally only see a very tiny bit of it. Prue is in a black crop top with sequined straps, but we don't see the bottom of her outfit at this time. And Phoebe is in a pink top with no straps, but has some like bead detailing on the bust, and we never see what she's paired that with. She never stands up. They all have their hair down, and Phoebe is the only one wearing a necklace. It's a very pale pink beaded necklace. Prue is wearing a very, very large beaded bracelet, though. It kind of looks like it was a beaded necklace that she, like, wrapped around her wrist.
Uh-huh.
It was interesting. Phoebe is wondering how many kids she'll have someday, to which Prue says at least 5, and Piper says at least 6, because Phoebe was born to be a mom. Phoebe has come to the realization that she has a long way to go before she's ready to be one, because she's got to get her life together first. Prue jokes that she also needs to find a guy, and then the conversation turns to Dan, and we learn that Piper thinks he's just a little too perfect because he's great at everything, and that makes her feel a little imperfect when she's around him. Phoebe then says something profound about Piper resisting her maternal instincts that, when questioned as to where this profoundness came from,
she says it came from Cosmo.
Of course. Yeah. So Cosmo is short for Cosmopolitan, which is a magazine that started in 1886 as a family magazine, and it changed at some point after that into a literary magazine, and then changed direction once again in 1965 into the women's magazine we know it as today. So just a small tangent / wiki rabbit hole. In 1905, the magazine was purchased for $400,000, which is just over $10 million in today's money. by William Randolph Hearst.
Oh, hey, I know that name.
Yeah, so he is the grandfather of Patty Hearst. She's best known for being kidnapped and indoctrinated into the Symbionese Liberation Army in 1974 when she was just 19. I'm not going to tangent on the SLA, but I'll link it on the wiki, of course. In 1979, Patty married Bernard Lee Shaw and had 2 daughters with him. Jillian, who doesn't even have a wiki page, so I can tell you nothing about her, and Lydia.
I didn't realize she was Patty Hearst's daughter.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah, Lydia Hearst, who on August 20th, 2016, married Chris Hardwick.
Well, shit.
Yeah, anyway, back to the
I thought
show.
it was going to be like her aunt or something.
Nope.
God damn.
Nope, it is indeed her mother.
What the fuck?
Yep.
And now Chris can't make any Hearst jokes
Yeah.
other than to just, like, blindly praise them.
Yeah.
Which is funny in and of itself. Just blind pandering.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Though I did think it very interesting because, okay, so I'll tangent just a tiny bit more. So Patty Hearst was kidnapped and went through Stockholm Syndrome when she was 19, right? That was in 1974. She was only with the SLA for like 19 months. But in that time, she did some bad shit because, you know, Stockholm Syndrome. So she wound up going to jail. She was in jail for about 5 years-ish, 4 or 5 years. She met Bernard Lee Shaw because he was one of the cops who was protecting her.
Oh.
Yeah.
So at least she upgraded her Stockholm Syndrome.
Yeah. But here's the best part, right? They got married like 2 months after she got out of jail.
I don't want to go awe at that.
No,
But I kind of do.
It was kind of sweet. And they were married until he died in 2013. So, you know, love.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was just an interesting little tidbit that I remembered. I didn't even have that in my notes. Anyway, back to the show. So, Phoebe notices Jack, who is now wearing a black t-shirt under a black leather jacket, and mentions his arrival to the girls.
Which naturally makes both Phoebe and Piper kind of growl at Prue, like, kind of noises.
Yeah, they kind of, like, were making fun of the growling noise that Jack had made to Prue.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Prue gets up and walks over to Jack, and we can now see that she has paired her tiny little black crop top with a red skirt, and that there's a single red feather in her hair.
Again, the whole weird, like, whoever's doing her wardrobe is really getting a Native American vibe in, somehow.
Yeah. But it wasn't even like a big red feather. It was literally like an inch-long red feather just in her hair, randomly.
She's trendy now.
Yeah. Anyway, so she asks why he isn't in New York, and he said that he didn't want to go without her.
He also says that he doesn't want her to think that he's evolved or being mature in case having a baby around has given her any ideas.
Yeah. She says that the only idea that she has is that one day she'll make a great mom, and that hopefully she'll find the right guy. And Jack replies that because he's still a kid himself, he's not even going to pretend to be the right guy, and it made me actually like him more.
Yeah, a little bit. And then she's like, don't worry, I'm not looking for the right guy right now. You'll do.
Yeah, he'll do for now. And they head over to the dance floor to get their groove on. And we watch them.
Stella.
Yeah, we watch them dance for a little bit, and then we go to the end credits. So, that means we are on to our ratings. Would you like to go first?
I think I will give it 7 out of 10 dish towel diapers.
Alright, for me, this one was a little lower on my scale of episodes. I'm giving this one 6 out of 10 personal gain usages. Because I swear to God, this is the first episode that, like, Prue just uses her power for personal gain, like, nonstop, this entire episode. Like, even the getting the skeleton out of the ground with her powers is technically personal gain, because it was literally the only reason she did it is so they wouldn't have to dig for ages. Anyway, so with our ratings done, that means we are on to our outfits. Did you have an outfit that you liked this episode?
I mean, I kind of like all of them, but a single one doesn't really stand out to me.
See, you know me. I have to like an outfit for each girl, right? So
yes.
For Prue, while not work appropriate, I actually kind of liked the brown top with the silver skirt. Out of everything that she wore, it was kind of the cutest one. For Piper, I liked the gray sweater that she was wearing in the getting ready to give Matthew back montage with the little scalloping detail. And for Phoebe, believe it or not, the weird shirt that was hard to describe with the crocheted sleeves was actually my favorite, because I totally would have worn that shirt. Right down to the crocheted weird sleeves.
Okay.
But that's it. We are done for another episode.
Is it time for social media plugs?
It is indeed. So, as per usual, you can find everything at charmchats.com, and you can always email us at charmchats@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter and Tumblr under charmchatspod, and you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and Patreon at Charmed Chats. We would also ask if you could rate and review us on iTunes. Give us a lovely 5-star rating, because it actually does help other people find the podcast, which is kind of awesome.
Yeah.
So right now we have a 5-star review with 12 reviews, and I'm very, very excited about that. But yeah, so if you haven't already, if you could just give us a rating and a review at iTunes, that would be lovely. We would thank you very, very much. Also remember that at patreon.com/charmchats, you can find all sorts of random tangents and or bloopers that I have decided to put up. At every tier, you will get access to that. So there's that.
Yes, there is that.
Yeah. But that's us done for another episode. Thank you so much for joining us, and until next time,
Sleep tight. Don't let the warlocks bite.
bye!
Bye. To slay and some potions to brew, so we'll see where it's at next week with Kendra and Kat on Charm.